What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're having a tremendous day today and that life's going well for you. Happy Friday. Got a treat for you today. We're going to revisit r/Ask Reddit and hear about random acts of kindness from complete strangers. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy the video. Also, I'm probably going to save most commentary on this until the end. Now sit back, relax, and let's hear some good stories about ways strangers have served others. I helped a guy go through TSA at LaGuardia in New York City, around 2008-ish. He'd never flown before, had no idea what he could take on the plane, how much, etc. Security told him he couldn't use his plastic bags he has stuff in. Anyway, what rattled me was the fact that he was shoving pairs of very new Nikes into a trash bin. I couldn't fathom why, so I went to ask. He explained his situation, so I told him that if he held tight, I'd go through security and buy him a carry-on so he could get his stuff through. He handed me $100 and I gave him my crochet project bag to hold his insurance. Got him a suitcase, went back and gave it to him plus the change and showed him how to go through, remove your belt and shoes, etc. He thanked me and we hugged, going our own ways. My flight was delayed by 3 hours at the last minute and I was already exhausted. I used my purse as a pillow and covered up with my coat and fell asleep against a wall. When I woke up, there was a fuzzy travel blanket, convertible neck pillow, eye mask, a bag of cookies, and a little plush dog with a note tucked in his collar. He stuck the gift between me and the wall and never woke me up. I ended up traveling for 11 more hours and that thoughtful little package saved my sanity. Random airport dude, I'm glad you got to keep your kicks, and I still have the puppy. I named him LG. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up while I was at work. Thank you for the silvers and gold. The note was just the Nike checkmark with the smile face. Be kind, y'all. Just do it. My birthday one year was really sucking. I decided to go buy myself a cake at the grocery store and get it decorated because it was my birthday and I wanted something nice. When the guy at the counter asked who it was for, in retrospect, he meant the name to put on it, and I said it was for me, he was incredulous that I had to buy my own birthday cake. I just kind of shrugged and went out to finish shopping for groceries. He said my cake would need to be paid for at pickup. When I came back to pay for and pick up my cake, different person was at the register and she said my cake had been paid for. It was also decorated a bit more than I thought it should have been. I have not seen that guy working there since, and in my head, I've called him the Cake Fairy. It was a good cake. I still cried eating it because the entire day sucked, but it was a good cake. When I was 11, I was stupid enough to cross in front of a bus with only a cursory glance backwards, and I missed the minivan that had just started to overtake the bus. I got hit by the left-hand corner and flung across the road, injuring my legs. My knees still hurt sometimes, all this time later, and splitting my lower lip. As I lay there, a lady who I had seen on the bus a few times came over and helped me over to the curb, checked me over, made sure my parents were called, made sure an ambulance was called, and generally looked after a scared, tearful, hurt little boy. She was wonderful, and I still see her around to this day, and she always gives me a big smile when I wave hello. One of the comments to that: on a similar note, when I was about that age, I decided to take rollerblades across a busy street intersection. I knew when to cross and all that, but an 18-wheeler truck was next to the right turn-only lane, which I was proceeding to. The truck driver blows his horn, freaking me out and sending me to grab his bumper as I couldn't stop normally. Wasn't a great skater. I was at first upset that this trucker was messing with me, but next I see a cube van fly out to make the right turn, not slowing down to check for pedestrians. I would have been grill meat for sure, especially a summer where no helmet or pads child with a family that did not have any sort of insurance or money for hospital bills. In college, my car broke down halfway through my third year and 1 week into my new job about 20 minutes away. A lady from my church, who I had never met, calls me and asks me if I'm interested in an '04 Toyota Corolla. It was 2011 at the time. I lived about a 5-minute walk from the church, and she told me to walk down and give it a test drive. I was previously driving around an '89 Thunderbird, so I assumed I probably couldn't afford it, but decided to meet her anyway. I get there and she shows me the car. Great condition, 89,000 miles, no way I can afford it. She sees my face, and before I can admit that, she says, let's go for a drive. Have you had lunch? She has me drive to lunch, which she pays for, and stops for ice cream on the way back. Nothing like ice cream in the winter, she says with a little smile. Some time passes and we're about finished with our ice cream. Okay, now let's talk details, she says. Do you like the car? Oh, yes, it's lovely, but do you think it'll meet your needs? Yes, but... Well then, my husband and I were thinking, and we remember how hard college can be, so how would $500 sound? At this point, I'm stunned. I paid more for my clunker. What? Oh dear, is that too much? We can go lower if you need it. I nod my head and agree that $500 is perfectly reasonable. She instructs me to take the car to the tag office, and I do. That afternoon, I return to the church parking lot, the official owner of a lightly used, excellent condition 2004 Toyota Corolla. She even apologized, telling me, I'll leave the XM stuff in the car, but we won't keep the subscription for this one. Hope you don't mind. Of course I didn't mind! I mean, I basically had lunch with Jesus that day. I saw her maybe one time after that. We went to different church services. Drove that car all through grad school and then gifted it to someone in need when I moved cross-country. Never felt like I could sell it after that. My flight out of Syracuse was canceled, and when I finally made it to the front desk, they told me it would be 2 days before I could get home. I decided I'd rent a car and drive to New York City to catch a flight out of one of the airports. As I was getting to the counter, a woman, whose flight had also been canceled, announced she was driving to New York City and welcomed anyone to join her. On an impulse, I said yes, and we started the journey to New York City. She turned out to be one of the kindest people I've ever met. While calling American Airlines, or at least I assume that's what he means by AA, to figure out my next situation, the customer service person was incredibly rude and refused to do anything, eventually hanging up on me. Seeing I was frustrated/upset, this wonderful woman proceeded to call customer service agents over the next 2 hours. I would explain my situation, and she would pretend to be my mother and ask for a solution. Ended up getting fully refunded and booked on another flight the next morning. I was planning on sleeping in JFK until my flight, but she offered her couch in her apartment and a hot shower. I refused at first, but the prospect of a hot shower after such a stressful day was way too much for me to pass up. On the way to her apartment, she even asked the cab driver to go a little out of the way to swing by some famous sites in New York City because I'd never been. I still think about her often and wonder if she realizes how big of an impact her kindness had made on me. A really small thing, but I hope I remember it forever. My son was probably 2 or 3, and we went to the mall for some reason. My son liked looking at the displays and stuff. Well, there was a model train set in a case that you could put $1 in and watch them go around for a while. I was pretty broke if I recall and never had cash on me regardless. He was content just looking at the display. A group of loud mall teens come through and go past. One of them comes back and puts $1 in the machine and says, "I always liked watching trains too," then hurries off back to his friends. My son lit up. I never would have expected that action from a stranger, let alone a teen with his friends in a mall. My first wife abandoned us when my son was an infant. It was rough, but I survived. One evening, I was at dinner with some friends. I had to change the baby, but there was no table in the men's room. I asked a woman leaving the ladies' room if it was empty. She checked for me and gave me the okay. While I was trying to get my diaper bag sorted, she came up and offered to change him. I told her I had it, but she insisted and put her arm around me. Apparently, I'd been holding in a breakdown the whole time, and she saw right through it. I cried for a minute while a total stranger changed my infant son, thanked her profusely, and went back to dinner with my friends, carrying a little less weight on my shoulders. No clue who she was, but she was an angel to me that night. Well, that's a lot of stories, and the videos run a little long, so I'm not going to say too much, but I just want to say, if you see someone that might be in need, go out of your way. You never know what the smallest gesture could mean to them. This has had examples of something as little as putting $1 in a machine to watch a train, to gifting a college student a nearly new car just because they genuinely needed it. The smallest gesture could have the biggest impact, so please, do something nice for someone today. Thank you all so much for coming by. I truly appreciate the support the channel has been getting. Right now, YouTube says the channel is just under 200 views total, but the analytics are a little delayed, so I think we've surpassed that. We're also closing in on 20 subs now, and I'm so grateful for everyone who's joined me here. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe and like it. Happy Friday, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all Monday. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.